because I just got done with day 3 of MagicCon Minneapolis, and I came home to news, or home, I guess, whatever, my temporary home, news to there being a new standard format, sort of. And people were blowing up my inbox with DMs and asking me what I thought about it. So let's talk about what it is, what it's not, and how I feel. All right, so I kind of want to just go over the announcement itself first, and then we'll talk about what this all means. And I'm going to keep it kind of short. But basically, what it says here is they kind of understand that they want standard to be more vital than it is, and we've lost a lot of that during the pandemic. So they're trying to bring it back to provenance, starting with this weekend and the tournaments and everything else that was going on. But it says it concerns us when tabletop standard gets left behind despite Magic's tremendous growth, which I totally get is fair. Time and time again, we've heard from players at local store owners that they believe a healthy, well-liked, well-attended standard is still incredibly important to their experience and their success, which I largely agree with, actually. Lately, we've been doing more asking and listening to assess how we can help standard. And Aaron Forthice has a tweet here that says over the past few years, standard play has dried up in many stores. I have my own list of possible reasons, but I'd love to hear yours. And, that's kind of where I guess this all started. And then we kind of get to the actual announcement. And they say today is step 1. That step is that we're going to extend the life of all cards in standard by 1 year. So starting with the current standard environment, sets will rotate out every 3 years, then every 2 years, or rather than every 2 years. This means that with the release of Wilds of Eldraine, which is the next standard release set, or actually, standard release set in the fall, there'll be no rotation for this year only. The following year, in 2024, Innistrad, Crimson Vow, Innistrad Midnight Hunt, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, and Streets of New Capenna will rotate out of standard. MTG Arena will follow this change for standard, but not for alchemy. So that's an interesting point to have in there. Not sure why it's different. It says our intent with this change is not to overshadow any of the amazing growth in Pioneer, blah, 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 blah. Is that this will give standard more longevity. It would allow mechanics and archetypes to be more effectively built on over time. It also will give us stronger tools to create an environment where decks are more colors and mechanics like green, white, toxic, blue, white soldiers, and less mid-range. So I don't know how much I agree with that third point, but they would know more than us as far as how they're designing things. Now, I've already seen people saying that they think this is Wizards' way to solve for something in standard or whatever, but it's really not that. That doesn't make any sense. And the truth is, every time I've been either at the retail level or when I've worked with Wizards or whatever, a constant complaint you hear from people as to why they don't get into standard is it just rotates too quickly. And they even tried a faster rotation to keep standard fresh about 5 years ago, and that just didn't work, right? It just wasn't a thing. It didn't stick very long. I guess it was about 6 or 7 years ago, I guess COVID time. But the truth is, there's a lot of people who don't want to buy into standard or build a standard deck because they don't want that investment to be no good in like 2 years or even less, depending on when they're buying the cards in the life cycle, possibly a year, from now. And I get that. So I get what they're trying to solve for. The problem that comes with that, though, is we now are going to be set with a situation where if a deck is good, it's going to be good for a very long time. Unless you get cards specifically that counteract that in one future set, or we have more bannings. For example, if right now mono black is good, or mono red is good, or even Grixis mid-range or whatever, those decks only get more tools. So they're not going to get significantly worse. The only thing that can happen is you would need something that's a tier below or slightly behind it to get significantly better, which could happen with the release of certain cards in the following sets to be able to compete with it. Otherwise, we're going to need to have more bannings. So on the one hand, we sort of solve the problem by having 3 years of standard. However, we create another problem where people are still investing in things that may end up getting banned or suspended for some reason, right? So I don't think we're really solving completely for that. But I like what they're trying to do, and I like the intention of it, right? You want to get more people to play standard, and one of the ways to do that is make their cards worth more longer. I think everybody's going to feel every which way about it, and truthfully, I'm somewhere in the middle. Because I do feel that this is one of the large complaints they're at least trying to address. And that I can appreciate. And honestly, could even give some credit to the folks at Wizards that had to make that decision. The other half of that, though, is there doesn't sound like there was an accompanying plan or announcement for if cards get too big, if decks get too big, are they willing to act and ban stuff or shake stuff up somehow or whatever? And if so, that would be awesome. But I don't know if we will. And again, I'm not saying it's going to work perfectly. I'm not even saying it's going to solve the case. And I don't even know if it means a bunch of people are going to show up and play Standard. I would love it, obviously, as I make a lot of Standard content. But it's at least worth trying, right? It's a thing we haven't done yet. Standard's always been on a 2-year rotation, so who knows? But I like it. I like the idea. I'm concerned, right? Because part of it right now, people were looking forward to not dealing with Invoke Despair or Shieldred or, hell, most of the Grixis deck or whatever, right? But now you're going to have to continue to deal with those. So this is kind of what I was talking about, where you have a problem or a boogeyman, so to speak, and there's no way to get rid of it. Now, who knows? Maybe the stuff coming out in the next Eldraine set and then the next Ixalan set are significantly good enough, and the creature themes are good enough or whatever that they push some of these other out or make creatures more resilient. And if so, great. The problem is we still have all these sweepers and exile effects and whatever that have been around, and we're only going to get more with each set, so I don't think it's necessarily going to get better. Which, by the way, I'm still working on another video if y'all want to talk about or hear me talk about all the different exile effects and sweepers or whatever in Standard and why they're problems. I don't know if y'all are interested, but let me know in the comments. But either way, let me know how you feel about this, because I think the idea of a 3-year Standard is actually kind of interesting. They're kind of the best word I have for it. It's worth exploring. I think it could be useful. I think it could be beneficial. Now, will it be? I don't know. But I'm curious what my audience feels about this, because I think a lot of people are going to feel some kind of way. But anyway, enjoy the video, and keep an eye on my other content, because I have a bunch of stuff coming from this weekend. This weekend was a blast. I'm really thankful and appreciative that all y'all came out, met me, said hi, took a lot of goofy pictures, I signed things, and I can't say enough nice things. So this was an interesting thing to come to at the end of a positive weekend, and kind of fun news. So we'll see how things go. But anyway, that's it. That's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.